I always like to hear about the old timers. Never missed a chance to do so. You can't help but compare yourself against the old timers. Can't help but wonder how they'd operated these times. There's this boy I sent to the electric chair at Huntsville here a while back. My arrest and my testimony. He killed a 14-year-old girl. Papers said it was a crime of passion, but he told me there wasn't any passion to it. Told me that he'd been planning to kill somebody for about as long as he could remember. Said if they turned him out, he'd do it again. Said he knew he was going to hell. Be there in about 15 minutes. I don't know what to make of that. I surely don't. The crime you see now, it's hard to even take its measure. It's not that I'm afraid of it. I always knew you had to be willing to die to even do this job. But I don't want to push my chips forward and go out and meet something I don't understand. A man would have to put his soul at hazard. You'd have to say, okay. I'll be part of this world.
Hello, and welcome to the Son of Man Show.
Thank you for loving me.
I just want to thank all the listeners.
Lord, I'm so blessed.
You guys are awesome. Over 1,000 views so far, and we just started, I think, the end of last year or something like that with this podcast.
Lord, I'm so blessed.
Thankful, very thankful for you guys. Keep tuning in, keep listening, like and subscribe to the channel. Visit thesonofmanshow.com. The website, and there is a members only page. If you sign up with your email or whatever, I promise I won't spam you. You will have access to the songs and stuff that I create and special videos. You'll be able to download all the songs from my last album as well as the new album. Once we get it done and completed, I'll upload those songs. So be sure you sign up for that if you like the music or enjoy that. Also, we have an Inspiring Minds page, and if you guys have an artist or something like that and they're okay with it and they want me to post their art up or something like that, whatever it is they do, get with me and we'll see if we can make that happen. Thanks, and let's get into the show. Okay guys, so welcome back, like I said. And today I'm going to be talking about a few things. One is the new abortion law, of course, and you all have heard about it. I'm positive of that. And what the Virginia lawmaker was proposing there. And just kind of the craziness of it all. And then some people, I guess there's still a few people out there probably who don't quite get it, and they don't understand why this is different than the same old what it's been. So when we go online and we try to find statistics, the numbers on abortions in America, say, these are the kinds of things that we come across. But if you look at this, it says the number of abortions reported by the CDC in the U.S. for 2013 is 664,435. This equates to 1,820 abortions each day. We know the CDC numbers are light since they don't include all states, which they do say that on the CDC website, that not all states participate. But what it does give us is an irrefutable bottom-based number for how many abortions occur in the U.S. each year. So since 1970, from 1973 to, present day, there's over 40 million babies have been aborted since that time period. And why do I bring all this up, and why do I say that there's some deeper thing here? And before I move along, I want to just do this because so often they talk about, when people talk about, they discuss abortion and stuff, they throw numbers, right? They say, so many weeks and whatever, so many months, but
a woman is about to give birth. She has physical signs that she is about to give birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified?
But that is a 39-week-old baby. They're talking about 40 weeks up until birth. I mean, it can be fully developed, and then, you know, they decide whether or not to end the baby's life or not.
She's dilating.
Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman
I
would make
understand
at
that. I'm
that
asking
point.
if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
It says roughly 55 million abortions have been performed since Roe v. Wade decision in 1973. Let me just play a few clips, and then I want to kind of pull you guys back, and I want to focus your direction, or your attention rather, to a certain point that I feel like is underlying the whole thing. So let me just play this real quick, and then we'll get back into more of this.
Good evening, Lauren. A subcommittee in the Virginia House of Delegates defeated that bill. It would have made it easier to have a late-term abortion, even up to birth. Pro-life Americans condemned this bill as barbaric after this video went viral. Virginia Delegate Kathy Tran pitched her bill that shocked many Americans earlier this week.
A woman is about to give birth. She has physical signs that she is about to give birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman
I
would make
understand
at
that. I'm
that
asking
point.
if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
Virginia House Majority Leader Todd Gilbert is heard questioning the Democrats.
She's a mother of four. To put it in the starkest possible terms for her, and make her own up to what her bill actually did, even may have been unsettling for her.
And unsettling for President Trump. He tells the Daily Caller he thought it was terrible, and then brought up this line from the 2016 debates.
If you go with what Hillary is saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother just prior to the birth of the baby.
Amid outrage, Tran is defending herself.
What I have done is try to make sure that women are able to make these decisions and access these services in a timely manner.
Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia is also facing backlash after his support for the bill.
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mothers.
You found out that our governor is willing basically to embrace the notion that if a child is born alive, you actually just keep the child comfortable while you discuss how or whether to allow it to die.
So guys, you heard what the man was saying, and he said, you know, even if it was born, then we would just put it somewhere, keep it comfortable, and then a discussion would ensue whether or not to still abort the baby. That's just crazy to me. And I understand what they're saying. They're trying to say, you know, well, it's, you know, these are in very crazy circumstances, very rare circumstances, what have you. It just doesn't work for me, and here's why. It says roughly 55 million abortions have been performed since Roe v. Wade decision in 1973. I want to draw your attention to this, and just so nobody's like, oh, well, he didn't say that during the campaign, and they're just doing whatever else. Here, it's a short minute clip. Just check it out.
If you go with what Hillary is saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother just prior to the birth of the baby. Now, you can say that that's okay, and Hillary can say that that's okay, but it's not okay with me. Because based on what she's saying and based on where she's going and where she's been, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month on the final day. And that's not acceptable.
Well, that is not what happens in these cases. And using that
And
kind
here she tries
of
to downplay it.
scare rhetoric is just terribly unfortunate.
But now we
You
see
should meet
this
with some of the
happening,
women
right?
that I've met with, women I've known over the course of my life. This is one of the worst possible choices that any woman and her family.
And she's right. It is one of the worst choices, right? It's one of the worst outcomes. And so why would anybody be upset about that? It's a choice that no one would want to make, so very few people are going to make it. It says roughly 55 million abortions have been performed since Roe v. Wade. And I just want to draw your attention to something else that's been happening lately.
Thanks for watching A Entertainment. I'm doing a report today on the Temple of Baal, also known as the Ark of Triumph, which was supposedly canceled ultimately and then rebuilt in London Times Square. And now we're seeing it in New York City Hall, just like they promised us. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. So I wanted to talk about it because a lot of people are getting upset about this ancient ark that may be connected to an ancient god that nobody seems to worship anymore. Well, truth is that Baal is mentioned in the Bible more than 100 times. A very high percentage of the current world religions that can be traced directly back to this ancient deity and to ancient Babylon, and the practices involved in the ancient Baal worship are very eerily similar. This goes to show that the society from then and now is no different. Ritualistic Baal worship. Adults would gather around the altar of Baal, or Baal, however you want to pronounce it. Infants would be burned alive as a sacrificial offering to the deity.
So now I'm going to just pause it right there. And like I said, shout out to A Entertainment. So I don't want any problems with anybody. I just like people who do good research. And yeah, I mean, it's true. In New York City, this popped up around 2016, guys. Around the same time the campaign was happening, around the same time that Donald Trump was warning the American people.
You can say that that's okay, and Hillary can say that that's okay, but it's not okay with me. Because based on what she's saying and based on where she's going and where she's been, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month on the final day. And that's not acceptable.
Well, that is not what happens in these cases.
That the Democrats were going to try to up abortion and bring it even to this point where it allows basically child sacrifice. And I would propose that they'll probably end up finding a way to pass legislation to push it even further. Am I saying all Democrats are satanic? No. What I'm saying is there's Satan worship, and it is going on right in front of our eyes. And this is something Jonathan Kahn noted. I wanted to play this for you guys real quick.
And death.
Just because of what he says about it, about what he sees going on with America.
You know that we are replaying an ancient template of judgment. America is following the same course that ancient Israel followed when it turned away from God and ultimately headed to judgment and destruction. Key in that fall of ancient Israel was the god Baal or Baal. Baal was the god of power, the god of fertility, of prosperity, of sexual immorality. Baal was the god of their apostasy. When they turned away from God, they turned to Baal. And Baal was the god that they offered their children to as sacrifice. They would approach his altar, they put their baby in the metal hands of the idol of Baal, and they would roll their baby into the flames. God would judge them for that. America has also followed the spirit of Baal. We are following the spirit that a nation follows when it turns away from knowing God. We have turned to the spirit of Baal. We have followed the god of prosperity, of power, of apostasy, of sexual immorality. And we have offered up our children, not thousands as they did. We have offered up millions of our children, of our unborn, on the altars of self-obsession. We have offered up over 60 million children in abortion. Could the sign of Baal appear on America?
Okay, and we already know that it has, right? So we already know that the sign of Baal has already appeared on American soil. We know that it was brought up in New York City on the year 2016. So they opened the gate to him then. And then we have this, right? So this is from the Western Journal, U.S. News. The World Trade Center is lit up pink tonight to celebrate the passage of a bill that legalized abortion until birth for any reason. So it's not like they're just passing these laws to pass them, they're doing it in celebration of aborting these children. So, like I said, I have no choice but to think that this is linked in some way. Whether the people are aware of what's going on or not is irrelevant. Like, I feel like there's a spiritual force um, that is at play behind the scenes of everything, because you have the arcs of Baal set up in New York City. New York City spearheaded abortion rights anyway, and then you have the celebration of up until birth abortions, which is child sacrifice. I mean, basically. I mean, if you think about it in this sense, for those who think I'm being extreme, if you think about it in this sense, an, if our civilization was dead and buried, and another civilization, a future civilization, came and dug us up, would they or would they not think that we took part in child sacrifice when they dug everything up? I mean, come on. If you think about it in those terms, of course they would. So why are we just labeling it with modern terms in order to suppress the truth of what's really going on? If it's not that, why set up arcs to worship a god who required child sacrifice? Anyway, just a thought, guys. Critically think. Thanks for tuning in. I love y'all. Positive thoughts. Fight the legislation. That's all I can tell you. Fight the system. Peaceably, of course, as Christians. Our battle is non-carnal, right? So just a reminder, and that's why it's linked back to this, because it is spiritual warfare. Stay alert, guys. Have that armor on. And that is it for this time. I will see you on the next episode.
You can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month on the final day, and that's not acceptable.
Well, that is not what happens in these cases.
My bill would allow that, yes.